Alright, so I'm at Purdue University. So I'm gonna try and do my allergy bit. I'm hoping that I can finally get a good recording of it. I've been working on that since November.
I have like a lot of health problems. Like I have a lot of allergies.
When someone's talking to us on a stage, we prefer it to sound conversational, like it's being improvised or invented in that moment. But for most comedians, most joke ideas turn out not to be funny, so creating material is actually a process of trial and error. The first time that I tried to do jokes about my allergies, it was mostly error.
So when I'm in a restaurant and I order gluten-free, my friends are like, oh, you're like one of those trendy people. And I'm like, no, I have celiac disease. If I eat gluten, it'll destroy the villi in my small intestine.
Yeah, high school biology called, it wants its vocab back.
And over time, I will starve to death.
Starvation. Always a great source of comedy. Yeah.
Like, not eating gluten, it's not a lifestyle choice, it's a choice I make to stay alive.
Did you hear that? That was the sound of no one laughing.
This problem in our culture of overachieving parents making up like long lists of fake allergies for their children.
And that observation led into one sentence that people actually laughed at.
Like Timmy's allergic to gluten and food dyes and shellfish and globalization.
You see my face there? That's the face of a comedian who's like, yes, I finally found something that makes people laugh. And over the next 7 months, I would perform this bit 13 times, rearranging sentences, trying new ideas, trying to get 1 minute of solid material that I could ultimately post on Instagram. In this video, I'm gonna take you through that entire process and then show you the final 1 minute product.
Processed sugar, shellfish, globalization. Yeah, I'm allergic to water.
So I'm allergic to water. Telling people this obviously creates a lot of questions.
What's that? How am I drinking water? That's a great question.
Sometimes they just yell out their questions spontaneously, which technically is heckling. But early on, it was kind of helpful because it showed me what I needed to explain better.
See, there's like different parts of your body, right? Like, for example, let's use a scatological example. So like poop is actually poisonous if you eat it. But it's also in your body right now. So it's like, it needs to... Too weird, too soon?
In retrospect, watching this video, I would say to my former self, no, not too soon. That's a very insightful example, but yes, also way too weird.
The water allergy, it's called like aquatic urticaria or something.
So the first thing I realized was that before I made jokes about having the water allergy, because then they start thinking, wait, isn't your body made up of like 90% water? Is he allergic to himself? That sounds more like a mental health problem. I needed to clarify this important point.
It's like a skin allergy. Food coloring, shellfish, globalization. Before all of you jumped on the bandwagon and gluten went mainstream and sold out, now it's doing collabs on the radio with Justin Bieber.
Oh, the silence! That awkward silence! People laughed for just a second, but it was more like polite titters, and then, pfft, nothing.
I know, that metaphor went a little too far. Shellfish, and food coloring, and globalization. Gender normativity gives him terrible hives.
Okay, that's a pretty decent joke, but you know that your comedy is nerdy when the word in the punchline is 17 characters long. Is this a comedy show or an SAT prep course? I've also been asking audiences to yell out their weirdest allergy.
Cats and Christmas trees. So like the holidays really suck because I can't go over a lot of people's house because they have both. And then I just like get super itchy and uncomfortable.
But specifically Christmas trees. Like, it's like, you're fine with the pine forest, but like once it's decorated, it's got garland and all that, like, oh!
Comedians call this crowd work. It's when you're interacting with the audience. It can be a great source of comedy because it's actually improvised in the moment, so we're more likely to laugh.
Fish, globalization. Like I'm like a hipster of gluten freeness before it went mainstream and sold out.
It's like, thank you to those two people who laughed, but it almost makes it worse because if nobody laughed, I could have just kind of pretended that it wasn't a joke and like I wasn't hoping people would laugh, but I got 2 pity laughs and now we know, oh, that joke really bombed.
Food dye, raw vegetables.
I noticed that people tended to ask the same questions about the water allergy.
You probably have a lot of questions. For example, like what would be your first question? How do you shower? Yeah, how do I shower? Good question, first one. God, you just immediately went to nudity. So just like, yeah, like medicated lotion I put on before and after showering.
So over time, I tried different answers with the hope that I might find something funny enough that it would make it into the final bit.
Always ask about water though. Yes, yes. What do you do in the rain? What do you do when it rains? To which I would say, like, what do you do when it rains? Like, do you rip off all of your clothes and run outside like, rain on me? Rain on my skin? Neither do I.
In front of that audience, the answers I gave to those questions got really huge laughs, which made me think, oh, maybe this is stuff that I can put in the bit because it seems to be working really well.
What do you do when it rains? Do you run outside without clothes on and like do the Shawshank Redemption? Like, please rain on my skin? Neither do I.
It's gotta be the most aggressive bomb in this whole video, especially the contrast between how loud I was being while I'm acting out Shawshank Redemption for them and the utter and complete silence in the room.
Please rain on my skin!
Turns out that whether or not we laugh at a joke is highly dependent on the situation that we are in. Put that same person who sat in that audience maybe and laughed very loudly, take them to a corporate event and sit them beside their boss at 9 a.m. Everyone's wearing suits, and all of a sudden there is this check in your mind when you hear a joke where you think, is this appropriate or not to laugh at?
Well, Aiden here, he's allergic to food coloring, to gluten, to globalization.
And even if it's a perfectly clean and appropriate joke, just the fact that you paused and thought about that means you don't laugh. So I asked for help. I emailed a comedian mentor friend of mine, and he was kind enough to write me back with several ideas. In turn, gave me a few new ideas that did ultimately make it into the final bit.
Yeah, my son Forrest here, he is allergic.
My 12th performance of this bit was last month. I was emceeing a banquet they were filming. I thought this is gonna be perfect to get the video that ultimately I can put on Instagram.
He is allergic to gluten and non-local honey.
I gotta be honest, I thought the non-local honey line would get a huge laugh, but then I got all distracted in my head and I messed up the order of the water allergy jokes. Watch, you can see the exact moment on my eyes and on my face here when I realize that I messed up the joke, that this recording is gonna be no good.
It is, to be clear, it is
I'm gonna try and do my allergy bit. Done it so many times. Keep tweaking it, keep tweaking it. I think it's good.
Actually, after 7 months, I think this bit is good, not great, which is why I think now is the time to record it, post it online, and then retire it.
I've got a guy named Noah who's gonna be filming from right up there. And I'm gonna try and shoot a secondary angle from here on stage.
So here's my new Instagram clip. I hope you enjoy.
Wish me luck.
These overachieving parents who think that their children are allergic to literally everything. My son Aiden here, he's allergic to gluten and food coloring and globalization. Fake news gives him a terrible rash. I am allergic to gluten, but for real, I have celiac disease, and I had it like 10 years ago. Way before it was cool and trendy to be gluten-free. I am OG gluten-free. I'm allergic to eggplant, shellfish, dust mites, cockroaches, and water. An allergy where I'm allergic to water if it touches my skin. It's not a super severe allergy. You probably couldn't murder me with a squirt gun. But my allergist did say, you should be careful when you go swimming because you could drown. That's the medical opinion that I'm paying you for? To tell me that I'm not Aquaman? Cool, tell me in the comments what you thought about it, but also tell me in the comments about this. What you've seen here obviously is a new format of video that I've never tried before. I wanted to take you behind the scenes to the process of creating material. Did you like it? Should I make more videos like this? Would you like it to be a series? Number two, do you have sort of questions about the process of creating comedy material or motivational speech type material that I could explore in future episodes? And number three, do you have ideas for the title of this series? I'll see you in the comments and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. We should hang out sometime.